door shut of the blind and of the truck cap that's the top of our blind. Mainly because the door won't stay open or stay closed anymore because this blind is in rough shape. The floor is shot over there in the corner and right there. Yeah, me and my buddy Dave Wilson, who watches, hi Dave, who built this for me. God, it's got to be 8-10 years ago. Next April, before we get busy, we're going to build another one. But we're going to make this one work. So it's a Thursday. There's one more day of Crossbow after tomorrow, Friday. And then Saturday, our gun season opens for 3 weeks. So this is my second time out. Now that I got shit done and I can get out. Last night I had a doe, like right here, 10 yards from the blind. And I had a small, curled spike horn that came across in front of me there and just moseyed on down the field to the north. So, well, we'll see what we can see today. It's a little before 3, so we got a couple hours to be here. Let's see what happens. Alright, for those that'll ask, because I know somebody will, that's a Barnett Jackal. I think it's like 320 feet per second. No, I don't have, one of the $1,000 crossbows that are 400 plus feet per second. I've owned that for probably 6 years. And, some years I don't get out at all. Other years, like last year when I shot that nice 10 point. So for you newbies, you can go back a year. I shot a nice 10 point right out this window here. But I only had like 3 or 4 days to hunt. Same as this year. As long as I'm done by rifle season, that's, that's what my goal is. So, and I don't like the fact that all of a sudden the wind picked up. It's kind of died down right now, but boy, it was just whipping. I don't mind shooting a bullet that goes 1,200, 1,300 feet per second in, 15, 20 mile an hour wind. Not a big fan of shooting an arrow that goes, 300 to 350 feet per second in that kind of wind. But little combine update while we're at it. The service department at, it's not Empire Tractor anymore. It's Champlain Valley Equipment or something. Champlain Valley, who bought out all the Empire Tractors. Some girl from service called me today, and they've ordered a bunch of parts that are apparently in for that cleaning fan. The thing that we had all the issues with in the previous videos. And apparently when Larry's on the road today, she just called me before I came up here. But when he's not busy, he's supposed to come out and replace all these new parts. I had some interesting texts with my salesman yesterday and told him that, that fucking $1,600 pump that went bad because of this issue that we replaced in the field that day, along with that coupler, and apparently there's another coupler they're going to replace, and I don't even know all, because nobody really kept me in the loop. So, but I told my salesman I better not get a bill in the mail for the pump, for this new shit, for Larry's time, because this is the 3rd year in a row. I actually told him, I said, if they've got this, what did they call it, training center in Iowa, why doesn't CNH man up and say, you know what, from day one, so for you newbies, go back a couple of years. From day one, we had to literally cut a piece of the feeder house off because it was made wrong. And we've just had this shit happen every year, something new. So I told the salesman, take this fucking thing to your training center, let them tear it all apart and find out what's gonna fucking fall apart next. And bring me a different combine next September. No, I know that'll never happen because CNH won't man up and do that, but, and I know they're sick of listening to me, but like I told him, put yourself in my shoes. I'm fucking sick of the bullshit too. You spend that kind of money on something new, and it's just, you know, I don't know, my luck, I get the lemon, I don't know. So, like I've told you, when that fucker works, it works great. But it's just always waiting for the next shoe to drop because it's one of two things. Piss poor quality material or piss poor quality craftsmanship. And the feeder house was piss poor quality craftsmanship, obviously. This, I'm assuming, was probably piss poor quality craftsmanship. We're going to find out. But it just gets old. So, I don't know. I'll keep you in the loop too and let you know where we're at when Larry comes out and we do whatever it is we're going to do. So I don't know how well you can see him, but there's a little buck down there. I just tried grunting at him just to see if I could get him to come down here, play with me a little, but he wouldn't. He did look this way when I grunted. He stopped, looked this way, and then, as you saw, if you could see it, walked off into the side hill on the other side. So that's my first action of the day. I think it's a little after 4. Oh, hang on. What is it? Get to my watch. Yeah, 10 after 4. So, got about another 45 minutes roughly. But, hey, I saw a deer at least. Not the one I want to see. There was a dandy Garrett sent me a picture of earlier today that was on the camera. Down over the hill here. I was kind of hoping that guy would come out here and wander around. That a nice hot doe would come out and wander around so he would be chasing her around. So that's 2 days in a row I've seen a small buck. That's not the same one I saw yesterday. The one I saw yesterday was a little curled spike that looked like a little fork horn, little 4-point. So we'll see what happens. Alright. Wow. Yeah, there you go. Get closer to the window, you can actually see. I got this window shut. So I don't know how well you can see me, but it's Sunday afternoon. I'm in the blind down below the hill. The one I was in yesterday is the one up on top of the hill. It's the second day of our gun season. I haven't sat in the one way down over the other side yet, but I sat here last night too. I saw 2 doe, that's it. Been a lot of big deer killed around our area since yesterday. It's amazing. I just don't get to see them apparently. So I'll turn you back on if anything exciting happens. But Larry's coming tomorrow to replace a bunch of shit on the cleaning fan of the combine. So I'll probably finish this video with that. And then I'm gonna have to make another video, or my next video. It's mind-numbing the number of you that are, wow, kind of acting like liberal Democrats, to be honest. Seems to be what our RFK Jr. says is the golden word now. Well, I got a few things to prove how he's told a few fibs. But again, God gave you this to do your own investigating and think for yourself. And it's amazing me how many of you are all of a sudden on the RFK Jr. train. I mean, if me and the rest of the farmers are killing everybody, then why are you here? Fuck off. You can leave. I don't care if I have 0 subscribers. But I kind of figured if you were here, you knew how to use this thing. That's all. But we'll address that in the next video. So you all know Larry by now, real well, unfortunately. So there's another new coupler. That's the rubber bushing behind it I was talking about. And then here's the new back piece of the coupler. So we're putting both pieces on. And yes, there's a keyway, but for those that have said, well, the set screw must have been loose, there's no set screw. But there's the other new coupler that you saw us put on in the field. Busted already with less than 10 hours. So obviously something's not right. And we're hoping what's not right is the fact that the whole assembly was wrong somehow. And by replacing it, front and back, it'll solve our problem. Luckily, the shaft on the pump didn't get chewed up this time, which I don't know how it really could have in less than 10 hours, but it definitely fucked up the new coupler in less than 10 hours from not turning true. Alright, so here's the old, that's what's left of the front yellow coupler, because it obviously broke again. There's the rest of it down there. And here's the new back coupler, which is hooked to the new front piece of the coupler down there. The only problem is what it's doing is, you can see it's flexing more than it should in these holes, because there's really nothing wrong with this back collar, but we don't know why. So Larry is on the computer filling out the God knows how many page bullshit thing you have to fill out. TDH, that's what it's called. So we can talk to a smart person from New Holland again. So the shaft, when we turn it, I mean, you can see the very, very slightest little bit of imperfection, I guess you could call it. But the bearing, I mean, everything is tight. Nothing makes sense. Larry did say that the set screw on the collar is basically lined up, you know, the same area that the keyway shaft is, where the keyway goes through this. And when you tighten the set screw, you know, that pushes just the slightest little bit. So I don't know. It's a mystery right now. Hopefully when he gets done filling out all the bullshit paperwork they have to, well, call it paperwork, it's on the computer, that he has to fill out, somebody from CNH calls us like they did in the field that day, and we go from there. Well, it's dark out. It's 5:15. I didn't get to go hunting. We are finally in progress, the second time that we got a hold of the people at New Holland. See, in progress. Yeah, it was just open for the longest time. So we got the new stuff on. Well, let's backtrack. First, we got to get the Democrat book. I'm using that as a notebook to write things down. So they gave us specs for the shaft. the inner and outer part. The outer part was the 2,500, right, Larry?
Yes, side towards the motor.
And 4 was what they allowed, 4,000s.
Yep.
The inside part of the shaft, because it's a step shaft, which that's a piss poor design in my opinion, was 5,500s, and they allow almost 20,000s. So we were within specs for the shaft being out around, what do you want to call it? Run out.
True. It's not bent.
Yeah, the true. So the shaft is not bent. So we've put everything together. Larry just crawled in there. I went and started it. Ran it slow. Ran it up to speed. Larry thinks everything looked good. We're still waiting to hear back from these people to find out if they have any other ideas, because they were claiming from the video we took back, well, 19, 20 days ago now, October 30th in the field, that John sent in, from the video they were thinking shaft bent like some of you did, and it's not shaft bent. So I don't know, I just don't want this happening again as soon as we go out to harvest next year, because as I think I just showed you a little while ago, because it's been a long day, that happened in 8 hours. 8 hours worth of basically the threshing running for you non-farmers. And that's not supposed to happen in 8 hours. And egging out those holes.
I wouldn't even expect it to look like that after 5,000.
Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't look like that after 5,000 hours, like Larry just said. So, I don't know. All right, here's your one more thing, because it's almost 6 o'clock. Larry just left. I mean, why did this happen to start with so few hours? Nobody seems to know, or at least nobody can tell me. So why did the next coupler that we put on in the field that day only last 8 hours? I mean, it got me done because we were getting right towards the end, so there was only another 8 hours of, threshing hours to go on the machine, and the coupler broke again. It didn't wallow it out and destroy the pump motor shaft or anything like it did before, because obviously that had been doing it for quite a while, but it would have eventually next year when we started again. So they replaced that coupler piece again, the yellow one that I showed you, and the back part. Okay, so like I just said in the last clip, Larry got down in there and watched it. I ran the thing at low idle with just the thresher on, separator, whatever you want to call it. So, and then I ran it at high idle, up to speed that you normally would be running, which the fan was set at like 1,050. And he said it looked like it was running just as true can be. Why? What was our problem? What made it do it again, or start doing it again within 8 hours? And now it looks like it's running good. So what do we do next year? Do we go out and do, I don't know, like I said to Larry, do I go out and do 50, 100 acres of whatever we start with, probably beans, and then we take it apart and look at it? Although he says you can look in there and pretty much see if that coupler is broke. There's a little narrow window that you can look into. So I guess I'll be doing that after I do, I don't know, like I said, 50, 100 acres. I don't know. Next question, who's paying for all this? I can tell you, I've told everybody, including my salesman, who I kind of had a little, we'll call it discussion with here last week when he stopped, that it's not going to be me. I mean, that fucking pump motor was $1,600, I think. The one piece of coupler was like $200. So what both of them are right now, I don't know. The other thing Larry did notice, and the people from New Holland never got back to us as to whether or not they gave us the specs, like I showed you,
you know, 2,500s, but anything over 4,000 was bad. 5,500s, anything over 19,000s or whatever it was bad. So we were within specs. But again, why? But the one thing they didn't tell us that we noticed by spinning the fan by hand freely is that was out of balance some. So Larry took some of the bolts out of those, out of the fan blades, and added extra washers for weight. A couple of them we put longer bolts in for weight. And we got the fan so that it's pretty true now as far as trying to explain this, where you would spin it before, and then it would always spin itself back to where it wanted to rest in that one spot because it wasn't counterbalanced just right. But they never told us if there's a balancing sequence. And the guy on the phone, I asked the question when we had him on the phone. I go, do they balance these fans at the factory? And he said no. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm at a fucking loss right now. So, I don't know. Push on the Grumpy Farmer apparel link. Buy your Grumpy Farmer apparel, and I guess we'll see what happens if somebody tries to send me a really large fucking bill for all of this bullshit that we've been going through lately. I'm out.